My name is Christina Chandler, and in today's discussion, I'm joined with
Lena Lee.
And Anita Chen.
So today we're going to be talking about different topics in group discussions and get some of your guys' feedback and if you agree or slash disagree with some of the things I'm talking about. So, my first question is, cohesiveness is what causes members of a group to feel like they belong and want to be there. So what are some ways you guys believe that you can make people in a group feel like they belong, or what makes you want to be in a group discussion? Like, what makes you feel comfortable with the people, talking to people?
Something that makes me comfortable is when someone kind of breaks down a little bit more about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes me feel open enough to tell them something too. And I think that's something that kind of builds the conversation, and also remembering to ask like what their opinion is on a subject or
Mm-hmm.
what they're talking about, to hear their side of the story and kind of understand their way of thinking at the same time, or at least trying to.
Yeah, so like inclusion of that, and like part of that, and one of the examples I read was sharing common beliefs
Mm-hmm.
or common interests with a person, and it kind of builds a relationship with them. It makes them feel like like if you know somebody, you feel a little more comfortable. So if each person were to share something, then everybody should be comfortable together. That's something that might help.
Not even just relating to the person, I guess, if the discussion relates to them. Like, when you're more familiar with the situation or the topic, you have more to say, I guess, and you feel more comfortable talking on a subject that you could relate to more than just having like a discussion. Like, you'd open up the discussion and make it more relatable. That way, people would feel more comfortable to join and speak out to what they have to say.
So like, yeah, like making the discussion something everybody can have something to say about.
Yeah.
So not really just like saying I have an interest in something, who else has this interest, but
Yeah.
being like, let's talk about all of our interests like as one, so we can all be like feel like our voice is being included and like we're comfortable. Okay. So the second question is, it is shown that structured problem solving in discussions has better results than no pattern discussions. So do you guys agree with what they're saying about that? So kind of just either following a way to fix a problem or just kind of basing it off of what the situation is kind of like which one is better, and if you agree with.
I think that both comes in hand to hand, because like sometimes guidelines can guide you, but if you have the opportunity or the opportunity to like voice in other things instead of just going strictly on the guidelines, it's efficient, I guess, because if you're just stuck to one guideline, it constricts you from like brainstorming and having other ideas on like solving the problem, I guess.
So like having to base your actions off of like somebody, like not somebody, but maybe a written thing like telling you like what to do, and like that can make other people like feel, I don't know like what the word is, like not constricted like you said earlier, but like just kind of like they don't have anything to say, because if you're following something, it kind of takes away from you having an opinion on it.
Yes.
So that would be the downside to having a structured problem solving procedure, is just kind of you feel like you can't do anything, you just have to do what it says. So
It kind of stops the creative thinking, creative flow that I feel like comes with it. And sometimes when you're not structured, you have more of time, I guess, to think about things too.
Mhm.
You don't have to rush it as much, and it just kind of flows out of you. Or it can be difficult at the same time. It depends on the person, but you're not as constrained.
yeah. Okay, so the last question is, norms are shared values, beliefs behaviors and procedures that govern a group's operation. So there's pros and cons to having norms in a group conversation. So what are some downsides you believe there is to having norms, and what kind of problems do you think they would cause in a group setting?
I think some downsides to norms are like kind of going back to the second question, just that confined thinking, because you have to follow a certain set of rules, and if you're not doing that, then you could, like you said, did you say like offend someone?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know, and like their beliefs, but you have to make sure to include that you're not trying to hurt anyone. You know, that's just what you think, and
Mhm.
everyone kind of thinks differently.
Yeah.
But then again, you also have to watch what you say, so it's kind of a complicated question. It's very, very touchy.
Mm-hmm.
You have to think about the words you choose, who they might be directed towards, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And as long as, I guess, that's stated in the norms, it should be okay, but don't let it confine the thinking so much, because it can confine the talk and it can't expand out more than that.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's kind of, it depends on the environment, culture, where you are.
Like where you are, like how you grew up, right?
So just like, it's basically just like how each individual person thinks can go against, like we were talking about earlier, like with the raising your hand in a classroom, that's kind of something you always get taught in school, like you're growing up with. I mean, if you were to come from somewhere else that didn't do that, coming into our norms would be like, oh, I've never done that before, so I don't feel like I should have to.
Mm-hmm.
And it can cause a problem, because then the group you're surrounded with thinks, well, this is what we do, you have to do it. And then that causes conflict between the two different types of people.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there is downsides. The good sides are that it's kind of like a leading, like if you follow these, you're going to be okay. Like it kind of gives people like something to follow, because you don't always want to go with like having to think for yourself. Like, I mean, kind of like following directions for something like baking or something like that. Like then, since you know what you have to do, you know, oh, I can't get this wrong. So with having norms in like a group situation, you can follow those and think, if I do this, I won't be wrong. But sometimes those norms go against those people, so it can cause problems.
Yeah.
And it's just it's a pros and a cons thing, so it's not ever going to be
Perfect.
one way or another. Yeah.
Mhm.
So today in this discussion, we've shared lots of things that I think we'll all use, we have used in our group discussions that we've had with people in group settings. And from like the chapter that I've read in this book, for my class, I've learned a lot that I know I'll take with me to like maybe work, or take with me to school, in the classroom, basically anywhere